Well, away from that, the government has strongly rejected claims by the NPP side of the Defense Committee of Parliament that drug trafficking and money laundering have increased under the NDC. Ranking member of the committee, Reverend Intim Fojo, has also denied accusations that he is evading invitations from the security agencies. He insists that the government is not addressing the concerns raised by his side. For more on this, we're joined in studio by Edem Agbana, the Member of Parliament for K2 North. Grateful to you, Honorable, for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good evening to our cherished viewers across the world.
The ranking member on the Defense Committee says that, well, he has raised these issues for government action and not to be the subject of any form of interrogation. Fair point, right?
Parliamentary oversight is a sacred responsibility. It is not a license for recklessness. It is not a license for baseless accusations. It is not a license to make wild allegations and refuse to subject yourself to the relevant authorities when you are asked to. My senior colleague in Parliament, the Honorable Reverend Intim Fojo, has engaged in these baseless accusations of using parliamentary oversight as cover-up to throw all sorts of allegations since President Mahama was sworn in on January 7, 2025.
How are these allegations baseless?
No, very baseless because, and it is important to state that the Constitution indeed gives us, members of Parliament, the mandate, the power to act in a way to demand accountability. And as ranking member on the Defense Committee, he ought to know the procedures and the processes that are available to us as members of Parliament to demand that accountability. You went on social media, you addressed the press, and you told the people of Ghana, made wild allegations about drug trafficking, about money laundering, and all of this. And when the president of the land, the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, who is vested with the executive powers to lead this country, asked or directed the security agencies to work with you to find or to get to the root of these issues. If you were a good citizen and you were acting as patriotic as you want us to believe, your responsibility as a member of Parliament is to collaborate with these institutions and give them whatever information that you have. After the president directed the institutions to invite you and work with you, then you are playing some ridiculous political game or football. Now you have written a letter claiming that you are inviting the institutions to come before Parliament or to come before your committee and come and answer questions. You had that mandate. You had that power. You could have summoned the committee or summoned these state institutions using your committee, but you ignored that process, went to the media, made the wild allegations against the government, and when you are asked to give account, when we are demanding accountability from you, because in law, the basic principle is that he who alleges must be able to prove.
Who is demanding this accountability?
Because so the president says, the president
that
in his
nobody
statement
has invited him for any question.
Everybody knows that he is evading, he is evading the invitations. And we are saying that, granted, or assuming without admitting, and I know for a fact that he's been invited and he's running away from it, but assuming without admitting that a gentleman, the MP, the Honorable Member of Parliament, claims that he has not been invited, you address the media and you have seen the communication from the president asking you to collaborate with the security agencies. What prevents you as an honorable member of Parliament, as the ranking on an important committee like Defense Committee, to submit yourself to these bodies and say, this is the information that I have about the so-called flights? Look, the people of Ghana went to the polls on December 7th to elect President Mahama.
Yes.
And an overwhelming majority for us in Parliament. They expect us to be accountable to them.
All right.
If you as a member of parliament, believes that some flights came into the country and their movements were suspicious and you have the information, and indeed, I listened to that particular address from him. He was very emphatic. He mentioned drugs. He mentioned money laundering. Now, when you are asked to submit yourself an account, then you are all over the place, changing the story, the narrative, and trying to play. But I don't think that that is the way to go. I think this is the attitude that he wants to be in opposition with. We as a government, we will not sit and allow people to make these baseless accusations and get away with it. I am confident that the explanations given by the Minister of State in charge of government communication, I am confident
should suffice.
Should suffice.
All right.
Because that is the fact and the absolute fact.
All right, let's now talk about something that's also very topical in our country, illegal mining. I mean, some people have raised these concerns that your government is not doing enough, and maybe perhaps you underestimated the nature of the situation and played politics with it. What do you have to say to that?
So far, so good. The fight against Galamsey since January 7, 2025. I have monitored keenly government's response to the Galamsey menace, and we have shown total commitment to the fight against Galamsey. It is not a fight that can be won in a day. It is not a fight that can be won in a month. It is not a fight that may be won in 3 months. But we have made significant gains. As we speak today, even in the Asante region, all the forest reserves, you recall, and I listened to some statement made by the regional minister, as soon as journalists and stakeholders alert the security agencies that some forests have been taken over, our men, security men, have moved in and taken total control of these places. Again, we have seen many arrests being made. And beyond that, government has taken some pragmatic measures. We recently launched the Blue Water Guards. And I have seen people downplay the relevance of that particular program. But it's a very important aspect of the fight, because sometimes all you need is the presence of people who are willing to blow the whistle and get the security people to come in and arrest the situation. And that we are doing. And so if anyone says or criticizes the government for not showing enough commitment, maybe out of sheer mischief and propaganda, because I have seen that across board, when it comes to ensuring that we work on legislation, when it comes to having the security men on the ground, and I have seen the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable Amakofi and his team, move into deep forest, and you can see clearly that the government is committed to the fight against Galamsey. And we have said that regardless of who is involved, if you are a member of parliament, if you are a district chief executive or a stakeholder, and you are even involved in the fight against Galamsey, be rest assured that that trade will come to an end under President Mahama.
Before we end
recently, yes, just to conclude, yes, recently, some few friends went to the Western region, and the report we are getting is that the water bodies are beginning to see some more improvement.
Okay,
we are committed to the fight.
For a state of emergency in these areas where mining takes place. Would your side, the majority side, support the minority group if they make some of these calls?
It is not even about who makes the calls. It's about whether or not the security agencies finds that as the most prudent measure at the time to take. If they recommend that that is what will help scale up the fight against Galamsey, why not? Anything to stop Galamsey. And look, our EPA boss had declared, and many others have spoken, that we actually see the issue of Galamsey like we are fighting against terrorism, because this is lives that are under threat, and all of that. And so for us, any measure that government recommends, any measure that the agencies, the security agencies recommend as the best way forward, we will back that measure and ensure that it is done. But I can assure you that President Mahama and the NDC government is totally committed to the fight against Galamsey, and so far we are winning the fight.
All right, Honorable, I'll let you catch your breath for a moment. We'll be back and talk about life in this 9th Parliament. Welcome back. This is the Channel One newsroom here on Channel One TV. We're still having studio the Honorable Member of Parliament for Ketu North, Edem Agbana.
Yes.
You know, during the debates on the budget, after your submission, there were a lot of rave reviews for you on social media, especially. As a first-time MP, I remember even the Speaker admitting a statement from you. So you seem to be doing quite well. What are your impressions of the first meeting of this Parliament?
Well, I think that it was quite an experience, learning at the same time, trying to contribute and not just be a part of it, but also not being a passive member, but also an active member. But three key things stood out for me. The first is the fact that the leadership of the majority caucus, led by the Honorable Mahama Yariga, and our Chief Whip, the Honorable Roxanne Nelson Eche Dapamekpo, are so committed to giving young people, giving the first-timers on our side the opportunity to build our confidence and to contribute to discussions on the floor. And so the guidance from them, the support, the encouragement, all contributes to our performance. So you may have realized that in this first meeting, many of my colleague first-timers made impressive contributions. I can talk about the likes of Millicent Amankwa-Yeboah, the Honorable Ataisa of Sanerigu, Efo Walanyo Chekpo of Hohwe, Fred Agbenyo of Guan Constituency, and many others, many others on our side, Professor Bayo, Titus Bayo from Lambuse, and many others. We have so many that I cannot even mention all names, the Kasua MP and all of that. And so we are backed by the leadership of the majority, and they are encouraging us to do our best. But what also I can speak to is the fact that in Parliament, regardless of your age, regardless of how many terms you have done or your duration in the House, regardless of where you come from, if you are able to contribute significantly, naturally the system allows you to progress. And so it encourages us to work harder and harder, and also it is a good learning opportunity for us. We have done so well as a House in this first meeting. We passed every government agenda or business that was brought to the House. We succeeded in getting them. On the last day, Speaker actually mentioned that we have passed about 46 bills, and remarkable for the first meeting to pass such bills, and a lot of other things were carried through. So it is a good learning platform, and also a platform that challenges you to do well, not just for yourself, but for your constituency and for the nation as a whole. Okay. But the last day, the night before Parliament went on recess, I observed something very interesting, and I think it is very commendable. When the NPP staged the walkout during the debate on the gold board, everyone would have expected that because it was a bill that emanated from government or came from us, we would have just passed it without the opposition. But throughout the night, the likes of Honorable Haruna Idrisu, the finance minister himself, we were all present, and every single clause, in fact all the 78 clauses, were subjected to meticulous debate, even without the opposition. It tells you that our side, we are not just super majority that believes that everything from government should be allowed to pass without scrutiny. We stayed throughout the night. That particular night, we stayed till 3:30 a.m. to pass the gold board bill. We could have just said, now that we don't have opposition or the minority, let's pass it.
Go ahead and
but
pass it.
Every single clause was debated. Every single clause had inputs from members. And I think it's commendable. The majority side must be commended for that.
You and your constituency, after the budget was read, to sort of explain the policies in the budget to the people. What were you hoping to achieve with that? And what specifically in this budget speaks to the people of Ketu North?
So I am a messenger. as a member of parliament, you are representing the people of Ketu North. And so I did not enter parliament to get whatever information or push for an agenda in my own interest. It must be in the interest of the people. They sent me to parliament. So when I went back to them and held a town hall meeting, which was live on all our radio stations, which was live on social media, which was attended by chiefs and members of the community, the purpose was to send the information back to them and tell them, you sent me to parliament. This is what President Mahama has for the people of Ghana for the first year in our budget. Now, we needed to identify or locate Ketu North in the budget. So aside the many general policies, for example, free tertiary education, it will benefit people from Ketu North and everywhere else. Free sanitation pad, and all those sanitary pads. All of those things will benefit the people of Ketu North. But aside that, specific projects, for example, roads, there were some roads mentioned in the budget that are in my constituency. I needed to let them know. And all of that. So it was a very good exercise, and I will encourage that it must become, I have decided to do that every quarterly, that get back to the people, let them know what is happening in parliament, because I need to carry them along. I'm their messenger. And so it was a good exercise, and the feedback has been very, very positive, and we intend to continue.
Thank you very much for coming, the Honourable Member for Ketu North, the Honourable Edem Agbana. We're grateful to you.
Thank you, and let me just use the opportunity to invite you and all our viewers to Ketu North, especially those who have interest in investing in agriculture. Ketu North should be the next agriculture hub of Ghana. So you are invited. We'll support you with land and other things. So I'm inviting all of you.
Thank you, Edem. Thank you for coming.
All right, and thank you for the opportunity.
Grateful to the Honourable Member of Parliament for passing through the Channel One newsroom.